Ladies and gentlemen, Matt Johnson, Boris Blank.
What were some of your influences around this time? Obviously there was the technical equipment, but what did you start to listen to as you grew through your, you mentioned the Beatles, but as you grew through your teenage years and into early adulthood, what would you consider the biggest influences?
This is very hard because I can't remember. Of course there were the Rolling Stones, Painted Black was a song which still sticks in my head. There are lots of kind of psychedelic pieces of music, and also what fascinated me very early already was kind of electronic instruments in the music, like the Pink Floyd uses some synthesizers, some mellotrons, early kind of electronics, and yeah, that made me kind of make my own music. And what's very important, what's for me like a key experience was like the English band, the Normal, Warm Leather.
Oh, Daniel Miller, yes.
TBOD,
yeah,
that
fantastic.
was for me definitely an initial spark to start doing electronic music myself. And then another one, Herbie Hancock's Sextant, you know, this record, I just wonder what he's playing with, and that I find out, of course, of the list of his environments was an ARP Odyssey.
Yeah.
So I have to go to the bank, take my credit and buy an ARP Odyssey.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned that, because I was going to ask you about the most influential pieces of equipment throughout your career. You mentioned the Revox A77, that also played quite a big part in my career, but you mentioned the ARP Odyssey. I would also mention the Fairlight, of course, sampling synthesizer, which that's a machine that you rung.
This is a whole story behind this Fairlight, you know. Before the Fairlight sampling generation, you have to you find your own way to sampling and to work out some, how should I say, some ideas to make some step sequences, like cutting some tapes, you know, this 1/4-inch analog tape, recording lots of different sounds and cut them into slices, each of these slices in the same length, and put them together, of course, in a different running order, and play it back, a huge loop back over these tone heads. And what it happens is always you're surprised because you don't know what's coming out. But what it was, you have a kind of a rhythm structure which you can hear, and then you play on this loop to add on this loop bongos, percussion, you know, like shakers, whatever, until you have some bloody fingers, and then play it back again and make a whole song. That was also one of the first tracks which I worked out for Yello at the time. And then I heard from this fantastic machine where you can sample at the time. I think it was only a second, or not even a second.
It was about 1978, wasn't it? When
No, that was later. That was like 82 or 81.
Was it? Because I thought the very first...
It was earlier, but we couldn't afford.
No, with the price of a house, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it was very expensive, so we have to go. That was my first visit at the office of Dieter's father, which was a banker. So I have to be... Dieter says, "This is Boris, my new partner in music," and then I have to explain, you know, I'm very solid, I'm not taking drugs, and we would like to...
Did you have to have a drug test as well?
yeah. So we have to take a credit, because this was a hell of a lot of work, money to buy such a Fairlight. But at the end, at least I don't have blisters and bloody fingers anymore.
But do you miss? Do you ever use analog equipment these days, or have you switched over purely to software?
Today?
These days, as you're working, do you still have analog equipment in your studio, or do you pretty much work within the computer?
I still, of course, have my ARP Odyssey.
You do?
Absolutely. This is one of my heart pieces, and I wouldn't give it away. There are some other machines, like very first old rhythm boxes, you know, like little, not even Roland. This was kind of in the 50s coming out, whatever. So, but I think I redimension my studio to almost to a very small desk with a keyboard and with, of course, two Macintosh power computer and some software programs. You don't use that much electricity anymore, which
no, that's true. It's better for the environment, but there is something